Hi guys, welcome to the fan phone-in on XS Manchester. This is the full-time Devils takeover. I am Adam McCullough, joined today by, of course, the deck to my aunt, Joel McGrath. And in the studio today, we are joined by the regular guest, Webby, and of course, Paul Hurst, the Times' Manchester football correspondent. We have got loads to speak about today, but before we get stuck into that, remember, you can tweet at RequestABet and Sky Bet will price up your very own bet for this weekend's action. Remember, you have to be over 18. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly as well. Today, though, in the show, we're discussing that defeat against Brighton, whether United will bounce back against Tottenham, the Woodward playing banner, Raiola versus Paul Scholes, and of course, Paul Pogba as the captaincy, as well as going through your phone calls and much, much more. Right then, let's get stuck into the show. Z, talk to me.
Yeah, but Adam, what are you saying?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm alright. I'm just saying, Mourinho obviously has got a bad rep about him, but I'm just saying you can't just be him. The player's mood on the weekend was, I could feel the depression coming off the pitch.
But then is that the manager's responsibility, Z, to maintain the mood in the camp and help his players be at their peak to perform?
Yeah, but you see these players, like, I watched the game, I think Pogba was giving it everything, but yeah, it wasn't enough, and he just came off a World Cup as well. And the thing is, I think the media affects Mourinho so much. I think he's got to the point when he got to United. When he was at Chelsea, it was Chelsea, it's a bit of a library club. But when it's United, it's times by 10.
Well, let's speak. Can I just ask Paul then, Paul? Because a lot of people say it is the media this, the media that. They twist things. They make stories up. As someone who sits in the media, do you see the negative side? Do you get what it's like to be on the other side of the blame? Thank you, Z.
I think there's no kind of club that attracts more attention worldwide than Manchester United. There's no escaping that fact. Is that we can quite happily sit here and say that. That's a well-known fact, isn't it? So I want to write about Manchester United. People want to read about Manchester United. There's no agenda against the club. I think that's a kind of a well-trodden kind of path that people don't really understand. I do not get up in the first thing in the morning and think, right, what can I do to hammer Manchester United this morning? It's not like that. I don't think anyone does that, and I think that's just it's not true at all. But not more people want to read about Manchester United than anyone else. If you look at like the BBC website, look at their viewing figures for United. It's just they're streets ahead of anyone else. So that's why people write about them. There's no kind of agenda against them. But I just think you're right, one kind of minor problem with United does snowball quite quickly. But I think in this instance, it is justified because I know it's two games into the season, one loss, but you just look at the way that Mourinho is and you think, he's not a man who is going to be happy anytime soon, is he? And I just think with the whole kind of, Woodward not being happy with him, that has made this.
That's why I ask, is it fixable? Because I feel like we're going to get to a point, and I feel like that point could be coming soon unless we get a run of results which turns us around. But I feel like we're getting to a point soon where it's going to be too far gone for Jose to go back and rescue it. Like with Ed Woodward, with some of his players. And I remember some of the things in his final season at Chelsea in his second spell. And one of the things I particularly remember is a banner from some of the players saying Cesc Fabregas and Hazard and
traitors.
Costa are traitors and rats or whatever. And I kind of feel that some fans are turning against some of our players in a similar way. Yet they were some of the players that went on to win the league the next season.
Yeah, I think, it's not... he's had his differences, hasn't he, with quite... big players that Woodward likes. Pogba, Martial, Shaw. Woodward staked a lot of his reputation on signing those players. Paid a lot of money. I remember when he signed Martial. I mean, no one really knew who he was, did they?
Apart from one game against Arsenal.
Rooney said he had to Google him, didn't he? Because he didn't know who he was. But he's a fantastic player when he's playing at his best,
and when he's got an arm around him, which
exactly. So it is. That's the reason why. He's fallen out with these players, and that I can see why United fans have turned on him because of that.
Right then, we're going to Dave. I can't see where he's from at the moment, but he's calling in regards to what he calls an appalling performance against Brighton. Dave, you're live on XS Manchester. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are it's just pathetic if I got a League 2 team, really. That's my thoughts. I mean, Well, I know we're all United. I'm United till I die. I've got a tattoo on my arm and everything. But 10 years ago, City were nothing, and now look at them.
Who do you think is responsible for that?
Me personally, I think the owners.
What, you blame the owners out? So when you look at Mourinho, then do you still see him as a long-term Manchester United manager?
I think we should have had Mourinho the day Ferguson left.
Right, fair enough.
That's a very bad line. Sorry, Dave.
Was Dave in the canal then?
I don't know. It sounded
like gone for a swim.
Going on what he said about City there was nothing 10 years ago, but obviously they got their backers and the rest history for them. But I think the big bonus point for us on Monday is that the return of Matic. Give us that protection for the back two or the back four. Great player, He was truly nothing against Pereira. I think he's a great player. I'd like to see him more advanced, but obviously the first 2 games he was playing in there. One thing what was concerning me is the former Mato, he just seemed to, because Mato on his day can win a match. We've seen that. You don't get player of the year 2 or 3 years on the bounce at Chelsea, get so many caps for Spain if you're not half right. I'm just a bit concerned about him, how he's not getting involved in the games.
And he doesn't seem to have a position in the team.
No,
we don't play a number 10.
No.
And he's not a right midfielder.
Seems to be shoved on the right. It's one, he'll play there, he won't moan, he'll blog about it, so he'll play there.
Hug people.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we're going to have to take a quick break because we'll be back next.
This is the Manchester Football Social. Full-time Devils takeover.
Yeah. And we're back again, and I cannot wait for the next caller, let me tell you that. But before we get to our next caller, let me just remind you, we have got Paul Hurst from The Times in the house, we have got Webby in the house, and of course the new Anton Deck, myself, Adam McCullough, and of course Joe.
Yeah, hello, how are you doing? So Mike, which one are you?
We're sticking to this now,
Anton Deck, who are you?
I'd say more Stadler, Waldorf.
I still don't know what all this means. Stadler, Waldorf, I like it.
Show the 2 old boys used to sit upstairs and heckle.
Oh yeah, I like that. But we could be doing I'm a Celeb soon.
Or I could be Jemba and you could be Jemba.
Perfect. We've absolutely smashed it. No Bonnie and Clyde in? No.
Never. Wallace and Gromit?
Phil and Chris?
I was going to say...
Jones, Chris Smalling?
Bill and Ben.
Oh, no, I was going to say...
That's centre-half, to be honest.
Right, let's talk about XS Manchester. We've got Stuart on the line. You okay, Stuart?
Hello, you okay there, boys?
Hi, Stuart.
Who else, Stuart?
All right, Scottish Stuart, where you from?
Sorry, mate.
Where you from?
Originally Govan. Scotland way, but I was born there but lived in Manchester a long time and then moved back to Scotland and then back to Manchester, believe it or not.
Right.
You've been described as absolutely seething. Is that a fair description?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I was seething last week. Let me tell you, I was blowing my bloody stack with that on Sunday. I mean, I don't know what it is in Manchester United lately, but every time it comes down to a match day, I feel like I'm watching something off Nightmare on Bloody Elm Street. I mean, seriously now, maybe that's not a bad idea. Maybe Jose should just help us, Freddy Krueger. It might scare Esther Young into picking up his bloody runner sometime this week.
Tell him.
At the end of the day, for me, that I've been seeing it a long time about Jose. A long time. I've never been a big fan of him and his style. And there is a certain sort of... I feel there's a brigade on Manchester United in the fan base as well. You can't go against a manager. We can't keep sacking managers. Listen, that went out the bloody window 5 years ago about sacking managers. We've had a couple now since Sir Alex went. So this sacking notion, we're not a sacking club. That's gone. We are a second club now. It's the modern game. That's what happens. You get a manager in and you hope they can build something within 3 to 5 years. 2 years building. The third year they've got to be hitting the big prizes, in my opinion. That's the way it works now in football. You look at the guy over the road at Manchester City and he's at a sort of a year rebuilding job. His second year he's hit the big prize. You've got to hit him soon. That's the nature of the business. You don't get 20 years now as a coach. Those days are gone. You've got to realise that now. And you've got to hit the ground. And, Jose's had money to spend, in my opinion. He's bought those 2 centre-halves. Brian Clough used to always say it. You live and die by your bloody signings in football. And at the end of the day, he bought those 2 centre-halves. He bought them. He must have had some sort of look at these players. Well, I fancy him and all. I fancy this Lindelof. I fancy Bailly and gone for these sort of players. He must have done. But there seems to be this notion that he's not buying the plays, or all right, maybe Pogba wasn't his decision. Maybe it was taken from the top, but the other players, I don't know. I think he's identified them and gone for them. But there's a lot of problems. He's rooted at Manchester United. There's deep problems here, and that's what's concerning me. That's what's worrying me. And I think it comes from the top. There's no planning. You look at them lot over the road, and they've had a plan for the last, since they got bought out by those Arabs. Their plan was to get that man Guardiola in charge, and they built it. It's like the old film, Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. They built it for him, and he's come. He might only be there another 2 years, who knows? But they're seeing some great football there. You know, I've got a good pal of mine who's a City fan, and he's been through the doldrums. I used to take them, mock him all the time in the 1990s when they were getting relegated down to the third division of English football. It's their time now. I take my hat up to him and say, you deserve it, mate. Enjoy it. We've had our time in the 90s, going into the millennium. We've had some great years watching Manchester United, and we're going to have to batten down the hatchets here now, and we're going to have to really pull together as a fan base. Whether that'll happen, I don't know. But for me, at the top, the Glazers have not helped. I don't think that's good what's going on with the Glazers. And I think as a fan base, do you know we can learn a lot off as a fan base? And you're going to laugh here now. I was reading it on Blackpool Football Club the other week, and they're going through an absolute disastrous time there, and their fans there are doing a proper boycott. They're boycotting the games because they want them bloody owners out, and it's down to us to do the same, but it won't happen because we're too big a club, too big a fan base. There's too many foreign fans who turn out on a day out and love it. It's great, Manchester United, get in. It's down to the real hardcore. I'm talking the Webbies of the world here. Webbies a hardcore Manchester United boy. It's down to fans like him to do a bloody boycott on these owners. And I know that's hard, and I know we love him and watching him, but it's the only way things get done. That's how angry I am with it, because it comes from the top of them, and it's filtered down through the club, through every part of that club. It's filtered down through the chairman, the director of football, if we had one, a manager, down into the players.
Do you think it'll get to being a boycott, Webby? Sorry, Stuart. No,
thank you for the call, Stuart.
Amazing call. Yeah, he's a top man, Stuart. He knows what he's talking about. I wouldn't let you know myself. I've missed some games when I've been against the manager. Like we met outside Goodison that day. I said never go back in, and then Fortunate Moyes got sacked the next day. I didn't know anything.
Webby made his phone calls.
No, he's a passionate, like a lot of us are, Stuart. You know, and it hurts what you listen to him there. The man's absolutely gutted. You know, obviously it's only the second game in, but if it goes worse, do we boycott? We just boycott buying the stuff.
I think it's...
You know, I've seen people in that ground, and I've watched them at half-time with a green and gold scarf on, go down and spend 20 quid at the kiosk. I said, what are you doing? They couldn't understand. They just thought it was part of the fashion thing. Let's wear the... Is it time to bring back the green and gold to protest? No, it's not really, because if you look, they've never really got... The only thing I've got against the Glazers was the Ronaldo money. When Ronaldo was gone, we never used that money. But he's backed the managers. They've backed the managers. It's been our most successful period in history under the Glazers. I don't like him.
Now, I'm totally against the Glazers here, like fully. Like when you mention the Glazers to me, and you look at the ownership model at Manchester City, the amount of money they've pumped in, we've had taken out of the club. When you look at consistent record sponsorships, when you look at the fact that we went to like 3 Champions League finals in like 4 years, and we were winning leagues, we were breaking records left, right and centre, breaking transfer records when we sold Ronaldo, we brought in Valencia, Obertan and Owen, and all that time they were covered by the greatness and the genius of Sir Alex Ferguson. We won those things in spite of the Glazers, not because of the Glazers. And I think once Fergie left, they've tried to chuck money at it to fix it so that it doesn't become a problem, but there's only so long that you can do that. And unfortunately, it's shown that they are not football people. They're never at the stadium. All they look at is their balance sheet. Their balance sheet's right. They don't care. And the thing for me about the boycott is, if we were going to boycott the Glazers, the time to do it was when they took over the club. Doing it just because we haven't had a good summer transfer window, or just because we've not won a game, or we don't like the manager, it just seems a little bit naive to me. Like, if we were going to do it, you should have done it then. Now I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, and I'll admit it, that I'm anti-Glazer, but I still put money into the pocket by buying a season ticket. But for me, I will always be in my seat regardless of who the owner is, who the manager is, who the players are, what league we're in. And I feel like it's hard for some like me to disconnect from that, because someone's just going to take your seat anyway.
And as Stuart said, and as you just said there, you know, a boycott is fruitless really, because there's an infinite number of people waiting for a ticket to watch Manchester United from, you know, Manchester, London, Devon, Ireland, Scandinavia, Taiwan, anyone will come
but
from
are they
wherever
going to be? The question is now in the future, are they going to still be there to go and watch United? Are the new generation still going to be? Is it because this generation is growing up with a football that is just fast flowing, attacking football? So the new generation might not be there. To take up.
You look at it, Joe. Yeah, Manchester United Football Club want 7 people in from China, not 7 people in from Droylsden or Clayton, because those 7 people from China will spend 200, 300, 400 quid at the shop. Those people from Clayton are not going to go nowhere near the shop. That's what they want in this ground. It's not just United. It's
I think that's football as a whole.
Yeah,
what
football
I'm
as a
saying
whole.
now is though,
I'm saying my mates now cannot afford season tickets. They'll pick and choose the matches, and they're quite lucky that they can pick and choose the matches.
Yeah, but what I'm saying now is when they come over the tourists and stuff, and they've got an opportunity to either see United or City, who are you going to go to see? There's going to be an eventual time where United have to sit back and go, even the tourists aren't coming to see us anymore.
I still think they will. Yeah, the name and the brand, you know,
the only time
horrible word brand, but you know, the name will still kind of, that will still...
But you've got 6-1 across the road and City are beating Huddersfield 6-1, and then you come and see a drab 1-0. You know, people might
Woodward said it though. Woodward said it a long time ago, and this was a problem for me when I heard it. And the moment I heard it, I knew like we weren't going in the right direction as a club. When he was talking about Liverpool and how they still have the ability to bring in deals and bring in TV money and bring in all this, and they haven't won the league for so long. And when you hear the guy talking like that, you know that these like aren't in it to win titles.
That was an awful moment. I remember listening to that and thinking that is the worst thing I've heard anyone say about football in a long time. You know, results don't matter. We'll still bring in this money. What a bad message that to send.
And until the results affect their finances.
Yeah. I went to United, all these kind of sponsorship announcements. I went to one last year with Tag Heuer, and the chief exec said, he was giving a big speech about, you know, this magnificent relationship. Obviously, they paid through the nose to get it.
Other watches are available.
Yes, cheaper ones as well. And he said, Manchester United is not a football club. Manchester United is a brand. And a part of my soul kind of died then. I just thought, really, is it come to this?
Yeah.
But you know, people still come from all over, and I think they will, because that, you know, that brand is so kind of strong.
And Manchester United are kind of like, if I went to Chicago, I might go to a Chicago Bulls game, but I don't know who their players are or where they are in the table or anything. And I think United kind of represent that to some people.
Sorry, a couple of years ago when United were due to play City in Beijing, you know, when it got called off.
The Bird's Nest.
Yeah, I walked around the stadium before kick-off, and honestly, I saw, you know, that stadium holds 80,000 people, and I saw, walking around the stadium, I saw 2 City shirts, 2 blue City shirts, everything else Man United. And you go to America and you jump in a cab and you say, oh, I'm going to watch a soccer match. Who's playing? Is it Man United? That's how strong that kind of...
There's a video on Full Time Devils as well from when we went to America a few years ago, and we ask people genuinely, do you know who Manchester City are? And they're like, who? United. Like, they genuinely don't know. Anyway, we're going to line one.
George Weah said that, didn't he?
And Robinho when he was stood in the press conference. We're going to Cam, who doesn't think Jose can turn it round by the looks of his comments. Cam, sorry to keep you on hold.
All right, lads, how you doing?
Hi, Cam.
And if anyone wants to boycott their tickets, I'll be waiting for my season ticket anyway, because I've been on the list for time now.
There you go.
But anyway, I was going to say, do you lot think realistically that Mourinho can turn it around, knowing that he's never changed his style of play and how stuck in his ways that he is? Do you think he can turn it around? Because that was scary on Sunday, because the players, they don't seem to be interested, and they don't even really seem to know what they're doing, to be honest.
In a word, I hope he can, but I don't think he can, and I'll pass it on to the boys to answer your question, Cam.
I agree. I think it'll take something like someone like Matic, or, you know, maybe De Gea. I know he's not kind of vocal, but to really get a grip of the squad and say, look, you know, we need to, you know, we need to sort this out, basically. Because at the moment, you know, you look at Mourinho, he's so kind of dispirited with the whole thing. He's trying to create this siege mentality, isn't it, really? By saying, the media's against us, you're against us, you're against us. He wants a reaction from his players, but unless Matic or someone real kind of leadership in that group says, come on, we've got to respond for the manager, then I don't see it improving.
I don't really, obviously, what you're saying about those two players there, and obviously, they might take someone like Michael Carrick, who understands the club. Obviously, Rooney was a mouth when he was there, wasn't playing as good as we know he could, but sure, he used to G him up when times were down, but do these foreigners really care about Manchester United? You know, I don't mean that in a bad way. Do they really, to the heart, like the likes of Michael Carrick and the likes of the class of 92 when they were there, because they had the bad times as well?
I think it's a little bit of an education, though. And to me, Sir Alex Ferguson was always someone that would, hey, Bobby, come here, give these boys a chat.
Yeah.
Hey, you come here, have a word with them.
Go
on the museum.
I don't think that.
Jose doesn't.
No, I won't even say. I think it was the two previous managers before that as well.
Jose tries to make us forget about our history rather than embrace it, and that stuck out to me when the Sevilla game. Yeah. After that, answer Cam's question.
I just think that I think he's in too deep now at the minute. People saying that it's only 2 games in, but the idea it's not. It's 2 seasons in, isn't it?
Too deep. He wants to get in the canal. About 40 foot last time was down there.
And unfortunately, I just feel like this season might be a bit too much for him. Until January, until he could get extra resources in, I just think that's a long period of time.
A week's a long period of time.
And is he going to get those resources?
Exactly.
Cam, what do you think, by the way?
I think, because obviously I ring in every week. I don't like him. I don't like doing that. Yeah, but realistically now, the amount of people that have been on block, which you have to support the manager, but now they're slowly starting to think, oh well, is he really? Because the play, it just looks like, if you look at Pogba at that game, and then you look at him in the World Cup, it's just black and white, day and night. It's just completely. I'm not saying they're not arsed, but it's just scary, man. The other thing I was going to say is, so I'm going to go now, but you know that the Guardiola documentary when they're all coming out saying he's the
not seeing it.
What did he say that was disrespectful? They said it's attacking fast possession football against park the bus, and that is exactly what we are. It's a horrible thing to say, but it's true. I just can't see him turning it around. I just think if we got someone fresh in there, just say for example Zidane, can you imagine how Pogba and Martial would rise up for someone like that?
What do you think,
Thank you very much for your call, Cam,
Zidane,
and thank you for waiting.
Little groan there.
No, he's. Don't get me wrong, I think the European Cups he's won has been great, which papered over a big crack how far he was behind Barcelona. You know, he's coming to a great squad. Our squad isn't that great. You know, Zidane would, he might be that bit of fresh air what United need, but surely someone with a bit of, maybe someone younger and older head with him, you know.
You know, for me, Zidane, I can't really judge what kind of manager he is because of the way his league form wasn't as good as Champions League. But the one thing for me is, every manager we've had since Sir Alex has had a negative outlook on football in terms of they respect the opponents more than they make the opponents respect us. And I think a change in attitude would certainly galvanise the fan base. One thing I have to say, though, before we move on with this show, that this is the fan phone-in, the Full-Time Devils fan phone-in on XS Manchester. Final 15 minutes on the Full-Time Devils fan phone-in here on XS Manchester. We have got Paul, Webby, Joe and myself, Adam McCullough, in the house as well. How you doing?
I think it's been an interesting show. It's quite therapeutic on a time like this.
My caller of the day has been Scottish Stewart.
Stewart was mega. I think you got to get everything out, your anger out here, and let this place be your 6 or 7 where you just let out your emotions and then obviously go back to being positive, won't we?
Stewart reminds me of my parents. He wasn't angry, he was just disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, he'd let you know.
You don't know about that.
You want to listen to him when he's angry.
I think you should give him a call back just to make sure he's all right. He was quite
all right. I can imagine.
Those are the voices of Paul Hurst and Webby, by the way, who have joined us on the fan phone in today, and we're going to be going to some calls very, very soon. Joe, do you want to tell them how to call in?
Yeah, give us a call 0345 111 7625. We had a guy on hold for a bit, so we dropped off, but give us a call back. His name was Sam. We'll try and get you on in the next 10 minutes, as well as speaking about obviously the build up to United's next game.
We'll be getting some Tottenham predictions, as well as talking about the Woodward plain banner as well, which is where I want to go to next, because we hear there's a plain banner apparently booked for the Burnley game. I don't know how true this is or where it's come from or whatever, but what do you guys make of it? It is apparently going to say Ed Woodward out, love United, hate Glazers, which kind of goes back to what we were discussing earlier of the boycott. Does it make sense?
No. Waste of money. We've seen the stupid banners going over before. Just absolutely, if people want to start getting involved with playing, go and support another club. That's not United. They're becoming more and more like Arsenal.
Let me play devil's advocate here.
Yeah, go on.
I remember when I criticised a lot of people over the Moyes banner.
Yeah.
And those people said to me that if we bring in a plain banner, if we bring in a banner to Old Trafford and it's got something anti-Glazer or something anti this, we can't bring it in. So therefore we can't voice our opinion.
Yeah.
It's quite tin pot though, isn't it? I think it's not befitting of a club like Man United. Yeah. And plus, there's no, they want Ed out. He's not going to get it. The Glazers aren't going to sack him, are they? For this plenty, because he's golden boy. They will never get rid of him because he helped the takeover, became their friend. He's bringing in £500 million in revenue every year. So the one person who is untouchable at Man United is Ed Woodward. So
it's up to Ed Woodward to leave, is basically how we're looking at this. Ed Woodward goes when he wants, really.
Yeah, I think so.
So ultimately, we need to then appoint a manager who can fit in to this structure, which is a weird one. Because it's Ed Woodward, who's not a football man, who's an
director of football.
Would a director of football work with Jose Mourinho?
No, I'm not saying with him, because by the time this all comes around, there's a very good chance that the manager might not be here. I think it's a way forward. I think if you want someone to identify players, someone who's been in the game, played the game at the highest level, it's around other big clubs in Europe. A lot of people think that, they're squabbling the manager. Josie might not like it, but like you're saying, he might not be there starting next season. I think it's a great idea. But going on about the playing, can you imagine on the second lap of Old Trafford, Ed will be up there with sponsorship on the wings, more money brought into the club, This wing is sponsored by Webby's
Aeroflow.
He'll have some madness going on.
First of all, I just want to apologise because we had Sam on hold. He was trying to get in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's had to nip off because he had to go to work. So if he's late for work,
sorry, Sam.
Sorry, Sam. Apologies if you're getting sacked in the morning, Sam. You might not be the only one.
The owner might get a banner just a circle around his Sam out, saying Sam out. Yeah, you never know. You just never know.
Make sure you get your phone calls in. We've got 7 minutes left of the show. Right then, Mino Raiola versus Paul Scholes kicked off this week royally as well. Oof. What have you made of Mino Raiola versus Scholes? Now, I saw a lot of people take the tweets out of context, and they kind of thought that it meant Paul Pogba was off. What did you guys make of it?
I just think it did. I mean, the fact we were saying off air earlier, the fact that he tagged Paul Pogba in these two tweets.
Don't even follow him, does it? Don't even follow his best.
For me, that was almost like an endorsement. Pogba's not come out and said, "Oh, this guy doesn't know what he's on about." He's not said, "Oh, my agent's not acting on. Those words aren't representative of my feelings." So I just think Raiola is just proving to be a massive pain in the backside for Man United at the moment. Yeah. Mourinho doesn't like dealing with him. He's losing his influence at Club Raiola, so he's trying to get an next payday. He's lost Mkhitaryan, Ibrahimovic, Lukaku signed another deal with another commercial partner, even though he still works with Raiola. But he's losing his influence, and he's just trying to get another payday. And if you were United, you would think, do you not owe any kind of loyalty to this football club? We paid you £41 million when as part of the Pogba deal. Is that not enough to buy a bit of loyalty from you? We've signed Romero's on his books as well, so they got him. He would have got an agent's fee from that. So if you're Mourinho thinking, God, why are we dealing with this guy? And it was put to me. Someone told me at the club that Ed he did a deal with the devil when he signed. When he met Raiola, he made a point of meeting Raiola when he took over to get to know him, and he did a deal with the devil in signing all these players, however good they are. It was kind of a ticking time bomb ready to go off because he's bad news. Fergie said, didn't he?
Yeah,
oil
and water, God. So, but Fergie could put a lid on it, but Woodward can't put a lid on it.
That's the thing, that we had Fergie back in the day, who was Mourinho and Woodward kind of rolled into one and managed all that, and now we've got like Mourinho who's dealing with the team, Woodward, who's doing everything else, and in a lot of areas is out of his depth.
He was out of his depth with his comments about Paul Scholes. What an absolute clown, you know. The way he had to go at Scholes, what a player. You know what I mean? I'm lucky to be his friend, you know, and he's a
friend.
Well, there you go.
Friend.
But he's a great player and probably one of the greatest midfield players ever to play in the Premier. And he's slagging him off. Some overweight gentleman who's never kicked a ball in his life is slagging him off.
Hey, you know what I mean?
You know, so he's out of order, you know what I mean? And Paul's come back with a comment about the fruit tree, which I thought was quite funny. But like you're saying, he's making noise because everyone's falling out with him. He's losing players left, right and centre, so he's not making money. You know, the best thing Paul could do is get rid of him.
What do you think Paul does when he reads that tweet? When Paul Pogba does when he reads that? Does he know he's going to tweet that? Does he speak to him beforehand?
To me, though, yeah.
It's awkward, though.
I know Paul Scholes is a Manchester United legend. I love him.
Yeah.
I'd have Scholes' babies tomorrow. But Raiola is only defending his client against a BT Sport employee. Yeah. He is not defending his client against a Manchester United employee because Scholes doesn't work for United.
But then he goes on after that and actually openly talks about the possibility of Pogba leaving Manchester United.
But was that not to criticise his intelligence?
I think that was... I think you don't do that. You don't stick that out there unless... You just don't do it. It's not the way to act, is it?
No.
I mean, you can't imagine anyone else doing that, can you, really? Other than kind of... He's stirring the pot, isn't he? Look, there's a week left at, the transfer window. He knows that Barcelona want him, Juventus had, take him back. So, Pogba might not have known about it, but...
He definitely did once he added him.
He added him twice, both in the tweet, so...
Funny,
his mentions must have been a mess that day.
Oh, well, God, must have turned him off. Like mine after the show, probably. But, I just don't know. It's like Yaya Toure and his agent. He pops up every.
It got a bit boring, didn't it, after a bit? The first time and then the cake issue and all that.
But look at where he is now, Yaya. He's
where is
no one. He's just a free agent.
Mate, I wouldn't mind having Yaya's bank account.
Would you have a bit of Yaya Toure?
No.
No.
Oh, right.
You're saying, look where Yaya is now. Yeah, he's probably counting his money somewhere on a beach.
And then I thought you said you'd have him in your squad.
No. We've already got a couple of midfielders that don't do anything. Why do we want more of them?
We couldn't have any more of them. Right, we've got about 2.5 minutes left, so what do you want to get in this bit?
Well, we'll give our thoughts on the Tottenham game on the podcast, yeah?
Okay.
So that's something for you guys to come back to the podcast too. But can we get one more call?
We could try and get one more call.
Can we get a call of positivity before we go to Webby's final word?
That's what I wanted to do. Is if there's any positive stuff, Paul, that you can bring to the table, we've had
have we got another commercial deal lined up, Paul?
No. Who's the shining light for you? Maybe who's going to be our glimpse of hope this season, possibly?
I know he had an awful game on Sunday, but I quite like the look of Fred. I think he's a very nimble, very kind of dynamic midfielder. He's got quite a strong core. You look at it's similar to a player like Aguero, who's short, but he's stacked and people kind of bounce off him. I just think he provides a lot of energy. He's quite sensible in what he does. He doesn't try the Hollywood balls that Paul Pogba was trying on Sunday. He does keep it simple. There's a lot of energy there. I think he's tailor-made to the for the Premier League. Other than that, you're struggling really, aren't you?
You did not help there, Paul. Sorry. Paul, thank you for joining us on the show today. You've been absolute legend. We do appreciate you coming on. And before we go to Webby's final word, because we're nearly into the last minute of the show, we've got about 10 seconds of that. Can I just say, make sure you are subscribing to youtube.com/FullTimeDEVILS as well, because we'll obviously have all the coverage of the game over the weekend, including fan cams and stuff as well.
Dramatic season, and we're 2 games in. You got a long season ahead of you, Paul. You're going to be knackered by the end of it.
I got great hair popping out all over the place.
Not just Paul, about us as well.
We're going to get you some armbands when we fucking out. You're going to get in.
Right then, Webby. You've got 45 seconds for Webby's final word. We've still got to get you a theme tune, which will be coming soon.
Yeah, true.
Right, obviously we spoke about it. Wasn't great at Brighton. We're disappointed. The lads who went down and the people who watched on the telly, but we've got to be positive for Monday night. Let's get in that ground. Let's be loud and proud. I thought the atmosphere against Leicester was a lot better. Big game against Tottenham, who have started off very well. But let's all back the boys 100%, and I fancy us to get a victory like we have done for the last 2 years. Because before that, Spurs had started getting a decent record at Old Trafford, but we've done in the last 2 years, and let's make it a trio, but be loud and proud.
Thank you very much for listening to the Full-Time Devils fan phone in on XS Manchester. And remember, it's only Tottenham.